you know. This entity, which incurred a few years ago huge loss of 28 billion rupees, and I think it has come in the press, and most of you would be aware of this. Not only chairman and CEO were combined, but under the Articles of Association, the chairman had the power to override the board. Now, I have not seen this anywhere in the world. I don't know why and how this was written, clearly against the company's ordinance, but, you know, this was how the governance was. And with the result, you know, the board, although appointed of the private sector, but when this global financial crisis and commodity crisis occurred in this company, obviously there was a big challenge. The prices of the raw materials crashed. The chairman did not hold any board meetings. There were only 2 board meetings during the year. In one meeting there was 1 board. The next meeting the government changed the board and there was new board, you know. So obviously total lack of accountability. These are actually case studies which can be, you know, seen, and that's why governance is so important. You know, if you have the right governance structure, it can prevent or at least reduce such risks. So just 3 entities. These are the recent figures from a lot of it from public information, from the newspapers. Not PIS is 26 billion rupees loss. Railways 34 billion. Pakistan Steel 12 billion. Probably it's going to be more. And power sector, the real losses, frankly speaking, is a big guess, because as per the reports, the circular debt is about $1 billion rupee a day. So it comes to about 360 billion, if that is the estimate. We estimated it when we were working on an energy report at the institute. But you see, all that is not a loss, because a lot of it is recoveries are not made in time. Major losses are because of the line losses, theft in the distribution companies, and of course bad governance, and the real issue is the gap between because the power is produced largely from furnace oil, and the prices of oil have gone up, and the government is not able to pass on the tariff, refix the tariff. So that is also it's not all about because of the governance. So this is a huge loss. As I mentioned, let me just tell you how this circular debt is an accounting issue. You see, I think the single most issue that is affecting today's economy, Pakistan's economy, is circular debt, which is affecting the, you know, causing a lot of load shedding and power shortages, etc., because the entities do not have money to buy fuel, purchase gas from PPL, OGDC, or from abroad, you know, because they don't recover. But the basic issue is that IPPs, which are producing power, their debts are guaranteed by the government. And if they are not able to, you know, if the PEPCO or WAPDA is not able to pay them on time, then there is a sovereign guarantee and government has to pay. So it's actually government's liability. But because government system is on a cash-based accounting, and because of the limits of 4% fiscal deficit allowed by IMF or World Bank, or 5%, and if you start paying these liabilities, then obviously another 200 billion or 150 billion rupees means 1.5% or 2% of fiscal deficit. So obviously government would like to delay it, Because if they pay, then their fiscal deficit will cross the limit. But the fact of the matter is that if you had accrual-based accounting system under which actually the fiscal deficit or the budget deficit should be computed by just comparing your revenues with your expenses, and both should be worked out on an accrual-based system. And if you do that, the moment that PEPCO, because it's sovereign guarantee, when an invoice is raised by HUBCO to PEPCO or NTDC, to whom the power is supplied, if they are unable to pay, government has to pay. Even if the government is not able to pay, they should book the liability. If they book the liability based on the expense basis, on incurred basis, then your budget deficit will go up by 2%. But the thing is that it will be transparent system. It will be a one-time thing, and then government will not, if it was not cash-based system, government will not try to, delay their payments and show a better picture by, effectively fudging the books. So that's why it is so critical for the governments to adopt accrual-based accounting, because that will give the transparency. And you will be reporting your fiscal imbalances based on the financial reality. And actually, government should prepare their balance sheets. And there are so many assets which can be recognized in the balance sheet also. And overall picture probably will be much better than what is being reflected. So this problem of circular debt would not have been there if the government was on an accrual-based accounting system. And these are some of the examples of so many entities that are profitable. But again, if there were better governed companies, then I'm sure the profitability would multiply, what they are earning would be much higher. So let me now go to the code, the corporate governance regulations that have been drafted, what we've tried to include. And these are some of the major features that we have incorporated, and I will also give you some comparison with the Code of Corporate Governance of listed companies and the differences also. Let me also say this, that this corporate governance regulations were drafted originally by SECP, and this committee has just fine-tuned it, improved it, and tried to address the key issues in the governance and made the modifications based on the experience and the financial reality. So one of the important aspects is that we have incorporated in the draft the definition of an independent director, because the idea is that we should have majority of the directors in the code requires that the majority should be independent, non-executive directors on the boards of SOEs. As we all know, the real crux of good governance revolves around the boards. So the quality of boards, their independence, objectivity is of critical importance. So that's why there's a lot of focus on appointing the right people on the board, majority being the independent directors. The definition of independent directors is largely similar to the Code of Corporate Governance. But on top of that, we have also added one clause, one provision that says that those who are in the service of Pakistan, that means bureaucrats, people who are, in several entities you must have seen that people who are joint secretaries or government employees, they are nominated on the boards. So they may still be nominated, but they would not be categorized as independent board members, because the independent board member definition of independent director excludes the people who are in the service of the government. We have also proposed a fit and proper criteria just as State Bank of Pakistan has a fit and proper criteria for